Hello, welcome to your latest Maths Wizard video. During this video, we're going to be looking at fractions, decimals, percentages. The main skill we'll be focusing on today is converting between those three different things. So we're going to start with fraction to decimal. So your first question I'm going to give you as an example is, what is 3/8 as a decimal? Now, the main method I would say to use when you are trying to turn a fraction into decimal is just to do this, which is to divide the top by the bottom number. So in this case, we're going to do 3 divided by 8. So if you haven't got a calculator, this is how you might do it. So 8 into 3 does not go, so a 0 goes there. And that's always going to be the case when you've got an improper fraction. So if you've got a fraction where the top number is lower than the bottom number, that means you've got a value that's less than 1. So we're always going to have 0 as our starting point here. It's only when you've got a top-heavy fraction, an improper fraction, that you have a number that's higher than 0. But anyway, so when we carry on with our division, we write our 0 here, carry our 3 over. 8 into 30 goes 3 times, and that's because 3 times 8 is 24, and we've got 6 left over. 8 goes into 60 7 times, and that's because 7 times 8 is 56. We've got 4 left over, and then 8 into 40 goes 5 times. So as you can see, our answer is 0.375 because we do not have any remainders here. So key thing is always top divided by the bottom when you want to turn any fraction into a decimal. All right, here are 3 for you to have a practice with. So pause your video and have a go. Okay, and here are your answers to these ones then. So 4/5 there, we're doing 4 divided by 5. So remember, top divided by bottom. And then top divided by bottom on this one is 1 divided by 8. And that will give you 0.125. 9 divided by 20 there will give you 0.45. Now a little tip for you on some of them is you could do this. If you realise that if you've got a number that goes into 100 nicely, I mean, you can do this with any number, but it's easier if you've got a number that goes into 100. So like 20 goes into 100 5 times. So you can times that top number by 5 as well, and you'll get 45 over 100. So what that tells you is we've got 45% here, which if we divide by 100, will tell us the decimal there, 0.45. So that'd work with question 1 and 3 as well. So if you did it with question 1, 5 goes into 120 times, and then you can see on the top 20 times 4 is 80. So we've got 80 over 100, which is 80%, and 0.8. So that's another way of doing it with some of them, if you do prefer to do it that way. But the standard way is top divided by bottom. Okay. So that brings us on nicely to converting between decimals and percentages. So this first example here, we're writing 0.35 as a percentage. So whenever you turn a decimal into a percentage, all you've got to do is times by 100. So you're just moving that decimal point twice to the right there. So that will become 35%. And then the opposite way is you just dividing by 100. So you're moving your decimal point twice to the. That's something that's quite useful because if you get 0.45 should be right in there, sorry. So if you get 0.45 and you multiply any number by 0.45, that will tell you what 45% is. So knowing your decimal equivalents of percentages is quite useful for some of the more challenging percentages questions. Okay, so if you pause your video and just have a little practice with these questions. Okay, and here are your answers to these. So just draw your attention to question 2 and 3. Just be really careful with this. Now 0.8 is 80%. If you look at it as 0.80, you can see why it would be 80%. Anything that's less than 10% will be 0.0 something at the start. So just be careful with your single digit percentages. So like if you had 4%, 0.04, 5%, 0.05, as you can see down there. Okay, so just be really careful with those ones. Okay, next couple of examples then. We're now going to be looking at percentages into fractions. So one key thing to remember when you've got a percentage is percentages are always out of 100. So we can write this as 35 over 100 initially. Now sometimes it will be a case that you might be able to simplify your fractions. So in this case we can divide both of these by 5. So that will give us 7 5s on the top, 25s on the bottom, and we can't simplify this one anymore now because as you can see there's no common factor of 7 and 20 apart from the number 1. If we look at the bottom one, we've got 82 over 100 there. We can half this, we get 41 there, and then we get 50 there. And 41 is a prime number, so we cannot simplify that anymore in this instance. Okay, so pause your video then and have a go at this one. Okay, and here are your examples here. Here are your answers here to this one. We'll draw your attention to this one at the bottom. Now, I've given you here a percentage that's higher than 100. So you're always going to end up with an improper fraction here, or what's known as a mixed number. So we can still follow the same process. We write 250 over 100. If you take a 0 off, you divide it by 10. So you get 25 over 10. Then you can divide by 5. And you'll get 5 5s, which make 25, and then 2 5s which make 10. And then you cannot simplify that anymore. Now, you might want to know how to turn it into a mixed number. Well, 2 goes into 5 twice, and you have a remainder of 1 there, okay? Or you can do 5 divided by 2, which will give you 2.5, which you might realise is the same as 2.5. Okay, thank you very much for watching, guys. So hopefully this has been useful to you. Please hit subscribe if you want to see loads more content. Thanks very much. Bye bye.